Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 1611 creates the Firefighter Training Leave of Absence Act. It allows state employees the opportunity to obtain basic operations firefighter certifications. Throughout most of our state, voluntary firefighters play an indispensable role protecting property and saving lives. However, we have a severe shortage of volunteer firefighters in Illinois. The purpose of this bill is to help address the shortage. The bill is an initiative of the Illinois Fire Chiefs Association. Thank you for your consideration. Happy to answer any questions.
Representative Gasty is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
The case he will.
Thank you. Representative, we filed a fiscal impact note, and did you have a chance to review that note?
I did, yes, sir.
And can you tell the floor what it said?
Yes, so it indicated two potential costs to the state. I'll start with the second one first because it's a little easier, related to the potential software changes that would need to be made. We don't think that that's going to be probably any fiscal impact because this bill is modeled directly after the regulations that apply to members of the National Guard and military reserve that go on leave. So that second part we don't think will be applicable at all. The first, sorry, go ahead.
So the training they're receiving, is that to prepare them for another line of work?
Not another line of work. This is for volunteer firefighters.
So it's only for volunteer firefighters?
Right, so they don't get paid for their service as a volunteer firefighter.
Are we creating a fund to allow them or to allow other members of the public to participate in this, or is this only available to state employees?
This bill only applies to state employees.
And as far as anyone participating in this, is it true that they could only be in service for the state for one day before we'd have to provide this leave?
No, no one is eligible for this unless they've been in service for 6 months. Additionally, they have to be a fully rostered member of a fire department at a municipality or a fire protection district. So there's several limitations in the bill over who is eligible to participate in this.
Okay. I'm going to wait and see if there's any other debate on this. Hearing what you have to say, I'm going to determine how I'll vote. I'm always very supportive of the fire services and people looking to become part of the fire service. I'm concerned about the fiscal impact to the state, what it will have. I mean, these people, their jobs still have to be covered, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Representative Windhorst is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
He indicates he will.
Thank you. If an individual who's a state employee is also being compensated by the fire district or in some other way, what impact does that have on their other pay or the state pay?
If they are compensated in the course of their fire training that they are on leave, then their pay from the state will be reduced by that amount. So nobody will be able to double dip as a result of this legislation.
And during prior questioning, you mentioned that this is just for volunteers rather than those who are employed by a fire district or by a municipality.
Correct.
And where is that specified in the statute?
I will, give me one moment. Right, if you're a full-time employee of the state of Illinois, you couldn't also be a full-time employee of a fire district or a fire protection or a municipal fire department. Additionally, we put into this bill rulemaking authority for CMS, and I suspect that may be one of the issues that gets clarified through the rulemaking authority.
And this is being done to address issues with hiring, training, and retention of firefighters. Is that the purpose behind the bill?
Illinois, like every other state in the country, has a severe shortage of volunteer firefighters, and volunteer firefighters are a critical component to protecting life and property in about 80% of the landmass of our state. So we want to do what we can to make sure that our fire departments have the manpower and resources they need to keep people safe.
Thank you.
Representative Cabello is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great bill. And if anybody would understand how much a volunteer fireman actually made, this is something that will help immensely. Many of the volunteer fire folks are getting paid maybe $12 per call. $12 per call that they show up to help save us. We have a major problem with filling many of these volunteer departments. And Representative Dedich, I would love to be a chief call on this bill, and I would highly recommend an aye vote.
Representative Weaver is recognized.
To the bill. I've got so many wonderful volunteer fire departments in my district. I just want to thank you for bringing this bill forth. These men and women do it out of the kindness of their heart to serve their community. And this is, I think, just a small thing to show them how much we appreciate what we're doing. I urge an aye vote.
Representative Dedich to close.
Thank you, everybody, for your consideration of this important bill. Like Representative Cabello, Representative Weaver said, I think this will be a small but important step to increase the resources that our volunteer fire departments have. Thank you for your consideration, and I would ask for an aye vote.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 1611 pass? All in favor vote aye, all opposed vote nay. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Mr. Clerk, please take the record. On this question, there are 115 voting yes, 0 voting no, 0 voting present, and this bill, having received the constitutional majority, is hereby declared passed. Page 7, Senate bills on second reading. Representative Kifowit, Senate Bill 1629. Mr. Clerk.
Senate Bill 1629, a bill for an act concerning public employee benefits. The bill is read for a second time previously. No committee amendments. Floor amendment number 1 is offered by Representative Kifowit.
Representative Kifowit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for the adoption of floor amendment number 1. Floor amendment number 1 is just a technical change.
Representative Kifowit moves adoption of floor amendment number 1. All in favor say aye, opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Any further amendments, Mr. Clerk?
No further amendments, but notes have been requested and not yet filed.
Representative Kifowit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request the notes to be inapplicable. They don't really apply to this bill.
Representative Kifowit has moved to rule the notes inapplicable. All in favor vote aye, all opposed vote nay. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Mr. Clerk, please take the record on this question. There are 69 yeses, 39 noes, 0 voting present, and the notes are deemed inapplicable. Anything further, Mr. Clerk?
No further amendments, no further motions.
Third reading. Mr. Clerk, please read the bill.
Senate Bill 1629, a bill for an act concerning public employee benefits. Third reading of a Senate bill.
Representative Kifowit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, we saw the companion bill yesterday in Senate Bill 1630. This is again a parity bill for Local 2. We talked about it at length yesterday. It is to have parity with the downstate fire in terms of average salary calculations is what this bill pertains to.
Representative Reich is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to go straight to the bill because we spoke about yesterday a lot about what these two bills, which are companion bills, are going to be about. Basically, what we're trying to do is bring Chicago Fire into conformity and compliance with, or in conformity with downstate police and fire. A little history, I think, is important here because back when we first did the consolidation of the funds that became the bill that where we put all the funds together under police and fire downstate, it was requested of the Chicago Fire Department to oppose that, and they agreed, for whatever reasons they agreed to, with the promise that there would be discussion down the road about consolidation, which never happened. And we have a new mayoral administration and wondering whether that's going to happen under this one. But the fact is that we need to start addressing the issues of Tier 2. This bill does that for one discrete union, albeit one that is very, very visible, both to the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, and both in terms of its impact by itself and its impact upon fire districts statewide. I voted for this bill in committee for the same reason I voted for 1630 in the committee yesterday and discussed yesterday, because we need to start talking about Tier 2. We're not talking about Tier 2. We need to. We're starting to get the idea, people are starting to find out that, oh, we got a problem here. The Chicago Tribune yesterday railed in its editorial page that, oh my God, this is going to cost the city of Chicago $3 billion. This is going to cost us $3 billion to bring us into compliance. Well, where the hell was the Chicago editorial page 12, 13 years ago when Tier 2 was passed and we knew that this was going to happen? All of a sudden, chickens have come home to roost, and we're sitting here now looking at the city of Chicago complaining about a $3 billion cost for something it could have done 12 years ago. The chickens are coming home to roost. Tier 2 is going to cost us a lot of money. Yeah, this is going to be a Christmas tree over here again, just like 1630 was yesterday. There are going to be people on my side of the aisle who are going to vote against this. I'm going to vote for it, not because I like the bill, not because there's been any kind of fiscal impact determined here. Yeah, there are people saying we should have fiscal impact notes. We filed notes on this, and they've just been ruled inapplicable. What kind of business are we running here when we are not willing to talk about the pension, the fiscal cost of something that's going to cost this much? It's inapplicable. The pension note is meant to determine how much of an impact this is going to have on the funding ratio of that pension. That was ruled inapplicable. Good God, people, this is what we're here to talk about. What are we going to do with our pensions? When Tier 2 goes completely out of control and your local tax bills go up because Tier 2 employees are suing because they don't have the kind of income from pensions that they should be guaranteed, I want you to remember this debate. I want you to remember how you voted on this. You know, when I first started practicing law, I did a lot of work with the IRS, and I was talking to IRS agents many times, and this story applies here. People generally go into government service not because of, you know, when people go into government service, they generally go in knowing that the pay rates aren't going to be that great. But they go in knowing that they've got a reasonable amount of job security and that they're going to have a good retirement. Well, here in the state of Illinois, we know that our public employees are paid quite well because we're constantly giving them pay increases, and they probably have deserved it, and they probably earn it. And they've got job security because it's almost impossible to fire anybody these days, even no matter how incompetent they are in their job. But when we look at the pension system in this state, not just from the standpoint of people who are going to be collecting benefits, but those of us who have to pay for them, I think it's important for us to know in a fiscal note what that's going to cost.
How much are we going to pay for this increase in benefits? Yes, I'm voting for this increase in benefits because I want people to know where I stand. I want to fix this mess, and by voting no, I'm not giving you any opportunity to say anything to me but, oh, Reich stood up and said something, but he really didn't mean it. I mean it. I voted yes on this bill. I don't care what anybody else decides to vote. This is my stand on saying this pension system needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now.
Representative Calkins is recognized.
Will the sponsor yield?
She indicates she will.
Representative, does this bill only affect firefighters in the city of Chicago?
Correct. This affects Local 2 firefighters.
Would you like my support for this bill? I don't live in Chicago.
I would like all members to support this bill.
So you want my support for something in Chicago, but you won't support what we want in McLean County?
I think each individual bill has to stand on its own merits. You can vote whichever way you wish. Of course, support for bills are always important and appreciated. This is a bill for parity for the firefighters to match the downstate firefighters, and it pertains to Local 2.
I'm willing to vote for your bill. I think the people of Chicago deserve this. I think the taxpayers of Chicago deserve to know what it's going to cost, though. That's a concern. But the firefighters, I support firefighters all over. This isn't going to affect me. It's not going to affect my property taxes. So, you know, in the spirit of cooperation, something that you don't want to extend to us, I will extend to you.
Representative Kifwood to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate an aye vote on this bill. Again, presented in committee was actuarial analysis with regard to this bill. The pension note was filed that members can read on their computers. The other fiscal notes were deemed inapplicable, but this again is a parity bill. It's a companion bill, the one that we voted for yesterday, and I ask for your support.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 1629 pass? All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote nay. The voting is open. For all voters who wish. For all voters who wish. Have all voted who wish. Mr. Clerk, please take the record on this question. There are 98 yeses, 15 noes, 2 voting present, and this bill, having received the constitutional majority, is hereby declared passed.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.